Gotta ask a two-part question about Magic Johnson. One, had he played a full 20 plus years and had been more finals appearances and had he got a chance to play with Shaq and Kobe, but that undoubtedly made him the GOAT to most. And if he, how come he never called Kareem the GOAT? The first one would have been interesting. If he gets to play and nothing ever comes up in his personal life and he just strays straight forward, I don't know if he has that conversation with Nick Van Exel and Cedric Ceballos. I remember when Cedric Ceballos went AWOL, and that was crazy. And these guys were working part time. But for people who think that this kind of behavior you see with these cats that are loafing on the sidelines and load management and cyber, are doing other things, looking for clicks, it's nothing new. Because I remember it was an NBC game, and Cedric Ceballos, I think he was jet skiing. It was something crazy, and this was back in the 90s. Just for people who think that all this is something new. Cats used to be white powder on the sidelines back in the 80s. It ain't nothing new. The thing is that cats played ball back then. That's the difference. They had their hang-ups and stuff, but they could actually play. But then you started this, if I feel like it, guys that came along and the cuddling and all that. Now, his career would have been interesting if he had gotten gone from Kareem to Shaq and Kobe, because he would have been in his 40s. And he could still probably play. I think when he retired in 96, he gotten bigger and obviously, but it would have been interesting if he had got a chance to play with Shaq. He would have been probably in about his 17th, 18th season. And I figure if he's conditioned and he can run with John Stockton, just to play with Shaq, he, by year 20, the way he facilitated, he would have caught Kobe. But it definitely would have been interesting to see with him and Shaq. That would have been interesting. Oh, I do believe, no doubt about it. I mean, you can debate him as the GOAT right now. And I tell the people all the time, I'll give Steph Curry the greater PG over Magic. I ain't got no problem with that. Even if you want to mention Oscar Robinson, I got no problem. But if you ask me who's the greater player, overall, I'm taking Magic. Because anybody who can beat you with just scoring 2 points, but can get you with assists, rebounds, hustle plays, steals, can do what he want to do, can compartmentalize, that's where I differ. And Steph is in my top 10, but Magic is better overall as a player. See, I don't just go by, I can give you as a position, but then I can look at you and say, okay, I put you in that position, but who can I get the most out of? It's kind of like the Shaq Wilt argument. Give me Shaq as a center because he was dominant, he ran, he did that. But who was a better overall player? Wilt Chamberlain. Are you kidding me? When you can lead the league in assists, you can beat me in other ways. You can be more versatile. And I hold Shaq in high regard. But Wilt was a more overall, you got more out of Wilt. So that's the difference in the arguments. They can both be top 10. Two things can be true at the same time. And I can even give you a position as a title. But Magic beats you in more ways. That's why I hold him high regard. And I can debate that. Now, he doesn't hold Kareem. He doesn't ever call Kareem the GOAT, but he calls him the captain because he limits him as a center. But Kareem was more than that. I mean, that skyhook alone. And believe me, if these turkeys out here think they shooting something, they ain't hit nothing. That's the most devastating, dominant shot ever. And if you capture it on film, it's a thing of perfection. It's hard to do. Try making a skyhook and playing a game of horse with somebody. That's one way to beat me. I never did get my hooks right. But I had much respect for Kareem and to hold in that arch and to do that, and especially when you could skyhook over Artis Gilmore and Moses Malone and hitting you all in Kareem was poetic. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was like the Muhammad Ali of basketball centers. And all due respect to Bill Russell, because he didn't get to play Russell. Would have been interesting. He didn't get to play Shaq. Would have been interesting. Those are the only two that I think that I would have been compelled to see him going against in his peak and his prime. The reason why I don't say Wilt is because they were kind of like standoffish in the sense that I think they could have gotten the best and the worst of each other with that. But the Russell one would have been compelling because of how Bill Russell was probably the greatest mentalist, defensivist, like the Floyd Mayweather thing. You can't beat, but you can't hit, and he could defend better than anybody. And then with Shaq, the brute force, the strength, the rawness, how in the totality at a mano, that would have been compelling. But I think Kareem never gets his due for because of a lot of it's media induced, and Magic is media friendly, and he ha in LA. But I've always wondered those two things. But had he stayed and got a chance to go from Kareem to Shaq and taking himself out from Worthy to Kobe, we'd be, I think, definitely. He got to play as long as Tim Duncan did at San Antonio and Dirk in Dallas, etc. Oh, yeah, there have been a lot of records. Easily, easily, easily. Because he's one of the most compelling players I ever saw. And that's why I hold him in high, high regard. I hold Magic in high regard because he's the first guy I saw. He could beat you just scoring 2 points. Nobody since I've seen can play at that level and do what he done. Before you mentioned Jason Kidd, he ain't on Magic's level. Great though. Nobody else. I like Rondo a lot mentally. Wasn't no Magic. Respect. Just saying. All right. Those are two Magic Johnson questions I wanted to tackle, and I appreciate them being brought. Please like, subscribe, work on thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like and hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.